Collinwood in the year 1840. Quentin Collins, deposed as the heir to the Collins fortune, is in jail awaiting trial on a charge of witchcraft. He is unaware that his imprisonment has been engineered by his good friend Gerard Stiles, who has become the new master of Collinwood. And at the Great House, Daphne Herridge has received another in a long series of terrifying notes, which she believes have come from her sister beyond the grave.
I am coming for you now, but please do not be afraid. What I must do, I do with love. Your sister, Joanna. Joanna? Joanna, are you here? Joanna, please don't hurt me. Joanna, can't you help me? Joanna, help me! Joanna, you okay? Joanna, why? Why are you doing this? Joanna, please, don't you understand? You can help me. Please help me. Joanna, let me have the love that you had. Joanna, if anything's going to destroy me, can it be that love? Why must it be you? Joanna, please. Please, Joanna, can you hear me? Please help me!
What are you carrying on about?
Nothing.
Nothing. I heard you yelling all the way upstairs. Who are you talking to?
No one, Mrs. Collins. I was just frightened. that's
Frightened
all.
of what?
Well, I was alone and I thought I heard someone and I saw a cape there in the hallway.
A cape? I saw no cape.
It's by the clock, Mrs.
You were frightened by your own imagination.
Yes, I suppose that's what it was.
I've known all along that you weren't fit to be my son's governess.
Mrs. Collins, please don't say that. It isn't true. I'm devoted to Tad.
I've never believed that for a moment. My husband hired a pretty face, not a governess.
Oh, my God. What is it, Mrs. Collins? There was a figure there by the drapes. There was someone there and it disappeared. Who was it? Tell me what she looked like.
It was a woman. How did you know that?
I didn't.
Yes, you did. You knew what I saw. It was some kind of spirit.
No.
That's why you were hysterical when I came in the room. Because you knew that you weren't alone.
Mrs. Collins, that's not true.
I know what I saw, Miss Herridge. I could feel its evilness. You brought it into this house. Miss Herridge, I want you to stay away from my son. From now on, do you understand? You are to stay away from Tad.
Mrs. Collins?
All right. Tell me what happened this morning.
The new judge arrived today, Judge Vale. I had a long talk with him. He denied a motion to postpone the trial.
And that means I go on public display tomorrow?
I'm afraid so. There was one other development. Amos Fuller, the county prosecutor, resigned.
Resigned? Well, who's going to handle the prosecution?
They have until tomorrow to decide if they keep up their current pace. I wouldn't be surprised if they named Trask.
Oh, they can't do that.
Quentin, they can do anything they want. There are no rules of reason anymore. There is just hysteria and fear in this town. We can only hope that they choose a prosecutor with a streak of decency in him.
Tad, what are you doing up at this hour? You should be in bed.
I was, but I couldn't sleep.
Why not? Was something troubling you?
I keep thinking about tomorrow and what's going to happen to Father. He hasn't done any of those things that they say he's done. Mother, he doesn't practice witchcraft. I don't understand why they arrested him.
Well, there's no good thinking about it. We must wait and hope for the best. Come along, darling. Let's go upstairs.
Not yet. You've got to go to court tomorrow. They'll listen to you. You've got to tell them everything that they've said about Father is untrue. Will you do that? Why won't you answer me? You will try and help Father, won't you?
Darling, you must try to understand. This will not be an ordinary trial. We don't yet know what will be accepted and what won't.
All I know and all I care about is the innocence of my father.
Yes, darling, I understand, but you must be reasonable. There's been so much tragedy recently, and the people in the village are terribly disturbed by it.
Well, they know he wouldn't hurt anyone.
Well, yes, but when people are so terribly frightened by something or someone, they don't act with reason.
Well, you've got to go to them and show them the truth.
Yes. Desmond will do everything in his power to tell them that.
Don't you want to help Father?
Oh, yes, of course. I want to tell you something, that no matter what happens, I love you very deeply. And I ask you to have faith in me. Will you?
I will. Of course I will.
Then we will see this together. The two of us, we will see this through together.
Cousin Desmond, have you seen my father?
Yes, fine, just fine. Hello, Samantha.
Hello. Tad, why don't you go upstairs to bed? Desmond and I have some talking to do.
When you see my father, will you tell him that I've been thinking of him and praying for him?
I'll do that, Ted. I'll do that.
Good night. Good night.
I'll do that. How is he taking it?
How would you expect him to take it? Desmond, there must be some way that I can get Tad to leave this place.
At the age of 21, Tad inherits the Collins fortune. If he leaves this house, he gets nothing. Do you want it?
No. No, but I can't let him stay here any longer. This place is unhealthy for him.
You can't have both ways, Samantha. Besides, everything depends on the trial. If we can establish Quentin's innocence, Tad's place in the will becomes academic.
Quentin will return to Collinwood, master of Collinwood, and everything will be just the way it was.
I should think you would prefer that instead of Gerard.
Like choosing between two evils.
Samantha, no matter what your personal feelings are, Quentin is not an evil man, and you know it.
What do you think his prospects are tomorrow?
I don't know. I can only guess.
Now turn around and look at me. Now, there's no use trying to hide it. Something's wrong. And you're going to tell me about it.
I don't know how to tell you.
It has something to do with Joanna, doesn't it?
Yes. Quentin, Joanna has come back from the grave. I'm sure of that now. Quentin, I found another one of Joanna's notes tonight, and every moment after that, I could feel her presence.
What'd the note say?
Well, what difference does that make?
I just want to know what it said. Dear sister, you're in danger and I must save you. Better you're with me than with Quentin Collins. I'm coming for you now. Please do not be afraid. What I must do, I do with love. Your sister, Joanna. I don't believe it. Joanna would never do a thing like this.
I know it's Joanna, Quentin. I found her cape. Then when I went back to look for it, it had disappeared.
Did you see her?
No, I didn't, but Samantha did.
Samantha?
We were in the drawing room. We were arguing. And then suddenly she looked up and she saw Joanna's spirit across the room behind me.
She saw the ghost. Did she know who it was?
No, of course not. She's never seen Joanna. She accused me of bringing evil into the house. And she told me she never wanted me to go near Tad again.
Now, you listen to me. She has nothing to do with that. I hired you. If anything happens, you go to Gerard and talk to him. You can depend on it. You understand?
Yes, I understand, but
But what?
I'll do whatever you want me to do.
All right, now listen. I don't want you to go to the village. A lot of people are talking about a witch's cult. I don't want anybody connecting you too closely with me.
I'm not afraid of those people.
Now, when you leave here, try not to be seen. You didn't show these notes to Samantha, did you?
No, of course not. I didn't say anything to her.
All right, it's good. It's hard to tell what she'd do if she found out about them.
I shouldn't have told you about all this. You've got enough to worry about with the trial tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
According to the provisions of the statute invoked on Tuesday last, this high tribunal is now in session.
Your Honor, the defense respectfully asks how it is possible to be in session in the absence of a prosecuting attorney.
As you know, Counselor, the local county prosecutor tendered his resignation early yesterday morning.
Yes, and I just learned the reason why a few hours ago. The defense now requests that it be put into the record that Amos Fuller resigned his post as county prosecutor because the very idea of these proceedings was repugnant to him. I want it known that there was at least one voice of reason in this wilderness of hysteria and fear.
The request is granted, Counselor. There is no need to editorialize on it.
I also move that this trial, or whatever it is to be called, be terminated on the grounds that it is unconstitutional.
This tribunal is empowered to act by a law that you are already familiar with, Counselor. Your motion is denied. Earlier today, it fell upon this tribunal to name a new prosecuting attorney. Mr. Collins, your adversary has just arrived. Mr. Charles Dawson.
This is impossible.
Your Honor, I apologize for the delay, but due to the lateness of my appointment to this post, I have only now the credentials necessary for me to appear here. I trust the court will find these in order. I know how shocked you must be, Mr. Collins, but someone had to prosecute this case, and I promise you at least a fair trial.
Nothing you can say here can make me believe that, only the way you conduct the prosecution.
Thank you very much, Mr. Dawson, for your concern. Desmond, why are you so upset? He's Gerard's friend.
That is precisely why I am so upset. This man is not here to make the law. He's here to crucify you.
Now listen to me. We've got to give him the benefit of the doubt. We can no longer blame Gerard for everything that happened.
Has anyone given you the benefit of the doubt? Your Honor, I object to this man being named county prosecutor. As a non-resident of Collinsport, he is not liable to practice law in this court.
Mr. Dawson has been a legal resident of Collinsport since last week.
That is not long enough. The law states that a man must be a resident for at least 3 calendar months.
That law applies only in standard courtroom cases, Counselor. It does not apply in these proceedings.
That's quite true, Mr. Collins. Your objection is overruled.
Exception.
I must ask you to bear in mind, Mr. Collins, that this is a tribunal designated to hear a charge of witchcraft brought against your client. And it is the duty of the presiding judge to lay down the rules, and the duty of both sides to abide by them. Mr. Dawson, you may present your opening remarks.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Now you are going to get an opportunity to see for yourself.
In recent months, the people of this community have been victimized by a series of regrettable incidents, the cause of which was not immediately discernible. However, thanks to the diligence and perseverance of certain prominent citizens, it became known that these incidents were the results of the practice of witchcraft. These same citizens soon pinpointed the source of this evil, and it is the intention of the prosecution in this case to prove, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that these willful acts of sorcery were perpetrated with malice aforethought by the defendant, Quentin Collins. His guilt shall be determined here. And when it is, the prosecution shall ask for the ultimate penalty under the law which has convened this tribunal. Quentin Collins shall be publicly beheaded.
Well?
I want you to send for Gerard. I want to talk to him right away.
Do you have any opening remarks, Mr. Collins?
The defense only wishes to reiterate its objection to the legality of these proceedings. I have nothing more to say, Your Honor.
Very well. Mr. Dawson, you may call your first witness.
If it please the court, Your Honor, the prosecution had intended to call as its first witness Mr. Lamar Trask, whose testimony it considers vital to this case. However, I should like to postpone Mr. Trask's appearance in favor of another witness, one who came forth this morning with the information that I feel may expedite a decision in this case.
Well, who is this new witness, Mr. Dawson?
Samantha Collins.
Objection! Under the law, she may not take the witness stand.
May I ask why not?
You know very well why not. She is the defendant's wife, and he would have to waive his constitutional rights, and he will not waive them.
The state would point out to the counselor that the law which applies here predates the Constitution by almost 100 years.
Mr. Collins, there is nothing in the law that states that a wife may not testify against her husband. There is indeed ample evidence that in trials of this nature, wives were allowed to take the witness stand.
Your Honor, may I have a ruling?
Yes, your objection is overruled. The tribunal calls Samantha Collins. State your name.
Samantha Collins.
Do you swear that the testimony you are about to give this court shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Mrs. Collins, how long have you been married to the defendant?
Almost 16 years.
How long have you known, for an absolute fact, that Quentin Collins indulged in occult practices?
For as long as I have been married to him.
I object. I demand that counsel define the term occult practices.
Oh, the court would interpret this phrase to mean any act of witchcraft or sorcery perpetrated upon another human being.
The defense is very happy with that definition, Your Honor, and so asks that counsel rephrase the question.
Mr. Dawson, I must ask you to rephrase the question.
I withdraw the question, Your Honor. Now then, Mrs. Collins, I know you must have searched your conscience long and hard before deciding to come here to take the stand against your husband. Will you tell the court what specifically brought you to this decision?
My husband has always dabbled in the occult, even though he has been repeatedly warned not to do so by his own father.
Objection, Your Honor. The witness is not giving a direct answer to the question.
Objection sustained. Mrs. Collins, the counsel for the prosecution has asked you to testify to a specific incident. Please do so.
I have witnessed the fact that my husband has communicated with the dead and been responsible for bringing an alien spirit into the house. I do not know why he has done this, except possibly to terrorize all who live there. But I swear, the spirit is at large in the house.
Tell the court how you know that, Mrs. Collins.
Because I have seen it.
Am I to believe that the court will accept this hysterical testimony? It is not only possible, but highly likely that what Samantha Collins saw was a figment of her own imagination.
I did not imagine it. And I am not the only person in this courtroom who has seen the ghost.
Tell the court, Mrs. Collins, who else has seen it?
That woman. There. Daphne Harridge. Not only has she seen the ghost, but she has known of its existence for a very long time.